I will share to tell you my story from the book When Songs Are Forbidden. And I will share your stories from chapter 6. Chapter 6 is called A Price to Pay. One morning in the month of September, I went to the university, Alexandru Ioan Cuza in Iași. It was a very beautiful building with many stones and monuments and stairs. It was a very elegant, very wonderful building, and I was very proud to be a student there. When I went one morning to school, the secretary met me and told me, "You are expelled from university and you'll never be allowed to finish university in the Socialist Republic of Romania." I was shocked. But suddenly, the Spirit of the Lord came upon me and encouraged me and told me, "Do not be afraid, Genovieva, because I am with you." And the presence of the Lord came in my heart so strongly that I felt the need to go to worship the Lord. So I went in a classroom that was free. I bowed down my face to the ground and I told the Lord, "I love you, I love you, I love you. And it is such honor to suffer for you." I also told the Lord, "Please use me or let me die." I said that many times in my life, "Lord, use me for your glory, for your kingdom, or let me die." And the Lord told me many times, "I want you to live. I don't want you to die because I don't need dead people. I want you to live for me." But then there was one problem with being expelled from college. The problem was that in Romania, there was a law that you had to be in a school, you had to have papers that you are in a school, or ID that you are in a school, or you had to have an ID of work, that you work somewhere. All the police could arrest you for being a parasite of the society. So it was a game between the police and the secret police. The secret police denied you the right to have a job or expelled you from school. And the police arrested you for not having a job, for not having a student ID. So I quickly tried to have a job and I applied. First of all, I wanted to be a tourist guide. There were many tourists coming to Iași because there were so many churches, so many old buildings, so many monuments and botanical gardens, and so they had foreign tours and buses coming with foreigners, and they needed guides that spoke English. I spoke English very well because I was a very good student at college. So I applied for the job. But the lady, she took my petition, looked up my name on a list that was the forbidden list, and told me, "Sorry, I cannot hire you. You are on a list that does not allow me to hire you." I was not discouraged because I thought I can try somewhere else. There was an ad in the newspaper. My sister was a student at medicine and pharmacy, and she told me there was an ad in the newspaper that near her university, academy for medicine and pharmacy, they needed translators. It was very hard to translate for doctors and pharmacists. You had to be a very good translator. I quickly studied a book full of medical terms from English into Romanian. You had to give an exam to be a translator for science. I quickly took the exam and passed it very, very well. I passed it with a mark 8, which was very good. I even now had the diploma that I am a professional translator from English into Romanian for doctors and pharmacists. I quickly went and applied for the job. And a lady there who took my petition, she went and checked my name in the back room. She came back and said, sorry, we know that you are qualified, but we cannot hire you because you are on a list that is called with E in front, enemies. We cannot hire you. Well, I was not discouraged because there were so many other places to try them. I tried the Botanical Garden next door to us, and there was an engineer. He was a very kind man. He was in his 40s, a very pleasant man, and he really wanted to give me a job. I told him I really need a job. And he looked at me and thought that maybe I was a student, maybe I was a cultured girl. But he said, all I have is manual work, to dig holes. But I thought, I absolutely need a job, please hire me. And he put me to fill out an application. And I applied to dig holes in the garden. And I would have been very happy to work there because I liked the Botanical Garden. It was wonderful, wonderful garden with plants and exotic plants and trees, flowers blooming in every season. There were flowers inside and flowers outside. I was delighted to be a worker there. I didn't care to dig holes, no problem with me. So in 3 days, I went to start my job. I took something to put over my clothes and like working clothes and went. But then the same very kind gentleman, as I say, he was an engineer and he just was a pleasant personality. And I knew he wanted to help me. And I was so hopeful. And I went and to start my first day of work. So I said, where shall I go? Where shall I dig holes? And he said, I'm so sorry, but I checked your name on a list and I'm not allowed to give you any job, not even to dig holes. But he apologized and he said, you know what, I can really pay you very well if you teach me English, because I know you speak English very well. I heard that. So I could pay you really well if you teach me English, to read and to speak. But I said, sorry, but I need an ID, a work ID. I was expelled from university, and the secret police tries to put me in a labor camp. They tried to arrest me twice. I hardly escaped from being handcuffed. And I need an ID, a work ID. He said goodbye to me in a very nice way. And I went to be hired to help in a restaurant near us. There was a restaurant. Well, we Christians never went into a restaurant, in Romania. It was not our culture. Christians didn't go to restaurants, It was associated with a sin, with the world. But I wanted to have a job. They needed somebody to clean dishes at the restaurant, and I applied for a job there. But even there, I was not received. So I told my father that I needed a job, or the secret police would put me in labor camp for parasitism. My father said, I have a friend. He is the director of the chemical factory outside of Iași. He is an old friend of mine, and I'm sure that he will find a job for you. So from our street in Kopo, our house, Kopo, to the center of the town, there were 5 kilometers to walk. And I went with my father. I took my father by the arm, and we walked to the center of the city, and from there to take the bus to the chemical factory of chemistry, or chemical factory.
Acum eu mă duc la cel ce m-a trimis, iată, întristarea inima m-a cuprins, dar vă spun că vă este de folos să împlinesc tot ce-n Scriptură e scris. Mergem și noi, Doamne, Doamne, mergem și noi, oriunde mergi Tu. În noaptea aceasta unul dintre voi mă va da în mâinile dușmanilor mei. Duhul rău într-unul dintre voi va intra și să mă vândă, așa-l va înșela. Nu sunt chiar eu, Doamne, Doamne, nu sunt chiar eu, din toți cel mai rău. Iată, vine ceasul și a și venit, când mă veți lăsa singur pe acest pământ, dar nu sunt singur, pentru că Tatăl meu, Dumnezeu din cer, cu mine e mereu. Niciodată, Doamne, Doamne, niciodată nu te vom părăsi. Apoi Domnul a fost dus de oamenii răi, să fie pe o cruce răstignit pentru noi. Atunci am fugit toți de Domnul cel Sfânt, de frică și din neștiință ne-am lepădat. Nu-l cunosc, am strigat, nu-l cunosc pe acest Iisus. Nu-l cunosc, am strigat, nu-l cunosc și mi-am lepădat.
But as we walk to the center of the city, my father told me, Genovieva, do not tell anybody what happened to you, because you will be arrested for denigrating the government, and it will be even worse for you. Just trust in the Lord, don't complain to anybody. But also, don't forget, forgive your enemies. And I did. And it was good that I forgave my enemies, because many were my enemies for the rest of my life. As we walked to the center of the city, my father pressed me by the arm like this and whispered to me, "We are followed." I looked around over my shoulder, and I saw that a man was following us, a secret policeman. We arrived at the center of the city, got on the bus to the chemical factory. The secret policeman stood up near us, or got on the bus, of course, and he wanted to hear every word we said. So we didn't speak anything to the chemical factory. We arrived outside of the town, and as we drove by the river Bakloui, I saw all these ugly, hundreds and hundreds flats, blocks, high blocks, communist blocks, very ugly. We got out of Yash and we arrived at the chemical factory. Got off the bus and I looked at this my new place of work that I thought might be my new place of work. It was full of smoke, smelled awful, and full of thorns and ugly bushes around, trash. But I didn't care, I just needed a job. I didn't care that I would have gone every day there to get to work any job. I needed an ID of work. The director of the factory, he came out to welcome us. And he shook hands with my father and hugged each other and laughed because they were very good friends. And the director of the factory was very fond of my father. When I thought what a deep friendship they had together, I was sure the director would give me a job. I would not be afraid anymore to be arrested for parasitism. But I was to be surprised again. I filled out an application and I had to go in 3 days to get a job. But the director told me, sorry, we cannot hire you. We cannot hire your daughter, he said to my father, because she is listed that she helped an Orthodox priest in a psychiatric prison. And this is forbidden in Romania. She helped somebody imprisoned for his faith, that he was considered an enemy of the country. We cannot help her. We cannot give her a job. So I tried other places to find a job, but the answer was the same. Then I went to Maria Lazar. Maria Lazar lived in Podorosh in a block of flats. And she was a teacher of arts. She taught painting at the university. She had a deep life with God. The Lord gave her words for people to comfort them and to encourage them, the right word. And many students used to go to visit her to find encouragement in the Lord. Suddenly, I felt like I had to go to tell her my problem. I went and I climbed to the first floor. Her flat was at the first floor. She looked through a visor and saw that it was me, opened the door, and she told me, "Come in, Genovieva, come in. The Lord gave me a dream last night. An angel came to me and told me, tell Genovieva that on Sunday she will receive a job. So she will not be afraid of being unemployed and threatened with a parasitism, with labor camp." But I thought, how can it be to receive a job on Sunday, because on Sunday I'll just sit in the church listening to the sermon and praising the Lord with songs. But exactly what she said, it happened. On Sunday, as it was the closing of the service, Pastor Radu Cruceru stood up and said, "Please, all the congregation, remain for another 5 minutes because we have a very big problem." we need a cleaning lady at the church. Sister Anna, who used to clean the church, found it very, very hard work for her. And we cannot pay the cleaning lady too much, and she gave up. So we need immediately somebody to clean the church, to open the church, to close the church, and so on, make the fire, dust, clean the floors, clean the windows. So he said, is anybody who would be ready to take her place? Nobody said, nobody offered. Nobody wanted to be a cleaning lady at the Baptist church. But then I heard the Lord telling me, Genovieva, didn't you ask me to use you? Why don't you start here? I raised my hand and I said, I want to take the job. I want to take a place. So that day, I received the keys of the gate, the keys of the door at the church, the keys for the woodshed. I also received a broom and cloths to wipe the floors and to clean the dust. Well, so that day I started to have a job. I did not know how long I will be there. I did not know that the Lord will use me in that place for 7 years, but the Lord knew. I did not know at that place that I would start a children's choir who would have a great impact for the whole country. But the Lord knew, and this is our price to pay for the Lord. The Lord gave me great joy in this new job. I will tell stories from my life, from when songs are forbidden, and I will go on with chapter 7, in the house of the Lord. One morning, my father came to the church. It was a Sunday morning, and he asked me, Genovieva, why didn't you come at home? Because I used to go back and forth to clean the church and to go from Copo to Serrarie. And I told my father, yesterday, as I was going home, there was a secret policeman who was waiting for me behind the trees. And he asked me for my work card. And I told him that I'm a daily cleaning lady at the church. And they wanted to arrest me. So it's very dangerous for me to go in the streets. So I want to stay at the church. And so my father, he was one of the founding fathers of the church. And he had great respect in the elders of the church. So I decided to work at the church and to stay at the church. The elders of the church and the pastor agreed for me to stay there on the condition that they did not know that I was living there. I have to say that the first night that I slept at the church was in February. And it was very cold. And the covering that I had at the church was the tablecloth from the communion table. The building was so poor, it would snow through the cracks. I tried to cover all the cracks with newspaper. In 1973, I started to sleep at the church, and I was very careful when I went outside because the secret police wanted to arrest me in the street. But they wouldn't come in the church because they wanted to appear as if there was freedom of religion in Romania. So my job at the church was the following. I had to bring wood, chop wood, bring wood, make the fire. I had to also put coal, and the coal made a lot of dust in the church on the benches. I had to wipe the benches with dust, from the dust. I would take the carpets from the church and shake them outside. There was no vacuum cleaner. I had to wash the floors of the church with rugs, and I used just cold water with soda. It was a lot of hard work. But I cleaned the church, and I was very, very happy when it smelled of flowers, smelled of fir tree. One day I received some foreigners, and they asked me, Genovieva, are you ready to accept Bibles because you live at the church? Would you be ready to receive Bibles? So I said yes. So for the years to come, every 3 weeks, foreigners from many countries came to unload Bibles at the church. And it was a very good place, a lot of hiding places in the yard, and a lot of hiding places in the woodshed behind the church. But while living at the church, I slept behind the pulpit, or I slept on a bench. And a foreigner from England gave me a cassette recorder with a shortwave radio. He also gave me cassettes with music from England, Christian music from England. It was forbidden in Romania to listen to shortwave radios. But behind the pulpit, I started to hear shortwave Christian broadcasts from abroad. And I listened to Christian broadcasts from England, from Switzerland, from France, from Germany, from Italy, all sorts of Christian broadcasts. And they had music, they had songs. As soon as I would hear a song, I would press the button and record the songs. But I also received these 2 cassettes with lots of songs on them. And the Lord gave me 2 jobs in the church. One was to teach children to sing praises to Him, and the other one to receive Bibles. And I was very, very happy to have a job in the house of the Lord. And the elders of the church asked me to teach children Christmas songs, but I didn't have any Christmas songs. I wanted to have Christmas songs with happy tunes, but I didn't have any. So I made all the songs on those cassettes as Christmas songs. I also remembered there was a happy tune, and I decided I wanted to make them as a Christian tune. And I made words for it. And I made words, afară ninge cu fulgimare. And I made Christmas words for all the songs that these foreigners gave me. I started to teach the children Christmas songs in the woodshed, and this is how I started Zion Children's Choir. I did not know at that time that I would be there for 7 years, and I did not know that Zion Choir would be used by God to inspire children in the whole world to sing for Him. But at the church, the elders of the church sent my application to Bucharest. And the Bucharest sent 3 times, they denied me to have a job there. Not only that, the secret police wanted to separate me from the church, and they tried it in all sorts of ways. They sent a lady, and she came to me and said, Genovieva, I heard that the Baptist Union that do not want to hire you legally. And they suggested that I would take your job. And if I start early, I could even have a pension from the Baptist Union. I was shocked when I realized that she wanted to take my only hope, this job as a daily cleaning lady. So I prayed, and the Lord gave me wisdom. So I told her, why don't you try to come to help me 1 week to see if you like the job, because you are not that young anymore, you are older than me. She was maybe in her 50s. And I told her, why don't you come and try to help me and see if you really want to be a cleaning lady here. The salary is very small and it's very much work. So why don't you come a week to help me, and I will tell you what to do and see if you really want my job. God heard my prayer and gave that week a lot of rain. Now, the people, 300 people and children came with mud on their shoes. And the church became like a railway station, like a pig stall. It was so dirty. And so under my supervision, the sister cleaned the floors. It took hours to clean the floors. It took hours to shake the carpets outside. Dust everywhere. And then she said, Genovieva, I do not want such a job. You can keep it. So I was very happy that I had this daily cleaning job, and I was out of the secret police threats to arrest me for parasitism. When I took my job at the church, at first I lived in the office. The pastor wanted me very much to sleep in a comfortable bed, Pastor Crucero. Pastor Crucero loved my work with the children, loved the songs I composed and taught the children. And he was so happy for me to sleep in the office. So he said, there is a cover, pillows, make yourself at home. I give you the keys, nobody will bother you in the office. And I will tell the elders not to come here. If they want a paper, they can ask you for the paper. And it was very good, because soon after that, when I received Bibles, there were many hiding places in the office. I hid Bibles in the metal offices, under the pulpit. I hid Bibles everywhere. It was very good. The elders of the church never came to open the cupboards. If they needed a paper, they would tell me, Genovieva, we need you to look for this paper. And I would give it to them. But the secret police was after my traces everywhere. First of all, there was a phone at the office. I thought, there is this phone here. The people didn't have phones. They were only the Communist Party members had phones. So I thought to myself, if there is any danger, if the police comes to beat me up or to arrest me, I can call Pastor Crucero, or I can call the family son who is around the corner, and they can quickly come and help me. The secret police came one day and told me, "You are an enemy of the country. You should not be allowed to have a phone in your hand." So they cut the line of the phone. But then I knelt down and I gave my life to the Lord. And I told the Lord, "Lord, nobody will cut my phone line to you. You will always hear me when I'm in trouble." But one day the Pastor Crucero came with the secret police, with the inspector of cults, and he said, "Genovieva, you are not allowed to sleep here anymore." So the pastor took the pillows, took the cover from the bed, and took them because that's what the secret police told him to do. And so I did not know where to sleep. There was no phone and there was no bed for me. I was not allowed. There was no pillow there. No right to sleep in the office. I looked around and I decided, there is here this woodshed. Why not sleep there? I will make myself at home. Wherever I was in the house of the Lord, I felt at home and I felt the presence of the Lord. Because there is a scripture that says, Jesus said in the Gospel of John, "If anybody loves me, my Father will know it, and we will come and live with him." And I loved God, and he came and lived with me wherever I was. So I felt the presence of the Lord so strongly with me. I decided that I will clean up the woodshed and sleep there. I went in the woodshed and there were spiders, only a little bit of light. No, the woodshed was made of wood, blocks of wood. There were cracks. It was raining and snowing through there. And it was used formerly as a baptistry. People were baptized there and they could change and exchange their clothes there. But I was so happy to have a job. I was so happy to be in the house of the Lord. I immediately decided I was going to live in the woodshed. And I decided to clean it really very, very well. I cleaned all the spiders. All the bugs went out. But then I heard pock, pock. I did not know what was it. Was the secret police shooting after me? Pock, pock. I did not know what was it. When I looked, there were many rats, families of rats. I took the broom and I started to chase the rats. But the rats were not afraid of me. I was quite amazed how bold the rats were. So I decided to poison them. A sister came to visit me. She was from the army of the Lord, Sister Maria. She knew God in a very deep way. She told me, "Genovieva, you don't need poison to get rid of the rats. We need to pray a special prayer because God is the same God who chased the frogs. He brought the frogs in Egypt and chased them. He commanded the flies to come and go in Egypt. He commanded the locusts to come and go in Egypt. So he is God, the God of creation. So I will say certain prayers for the rats to go away from here." I told her in 2 days, if they are not gone, I will poison the rats. But in 2 days, there were all rats left at the command of God and never came back. So I cleaned the place. I put flowers. I put branches of fir tree. And I made myself a bed out of a plank of wood. I have to tell you, that there was only one plaque of wood that I found, and it was very long. So I had a very long bed. Because Pastor Rado took the pillows, I just made myself a pillow. Out of cloths, I made myself a pillow. And I just started to sleep in the woodshed. Wherever I lived at the church, the presence of the Lord came. The children started to come at the church, and I called them in the cabana, in the chalet, wooden chalet, and I taught them Bible stories, and I taught them songs that the Lord helped me to compose. And the children started to love God. More and more children coming to hear Bible stories and to learn songs. So many children, secret police started to be very, very angry with the wooden place, wooden chalet. One day they came at the wooden chalet where I was sleeping. I was quite happy to sleep there. And they told me, Pastor Crucero came with a secret policeman and told me, Genovieva, you are not allowed to stay in this place. Please pack your clothes and move. You're never allowed to come and sleep in this place again. So I took all my clothes. I only had a few changes, my nightgown, so I put them in a plastic bag. And I did not know where to sleep for the next night. Now there were one neighbor was a man who was a formal worker general for the Queen, for the royal house in Romania, and he hated the communists. There were another neighbor, a lady across the street, and she was a notorious spy. She spied on me day and night. No, only at night she stopped because it was dark. There were a family up the street, and they were high communist people. They had dogs, so anybody who came at night, the dogs would notice them and they would announce the secret police. But my neighbor down the street, he said, Genovieva, the secret police told me to spy on you. But I want you to know that I hate the communists as much as you do. So I want to tell you that anytime you are chased, you can use my yard. I will make you a handle in a tree, a handle and an escape place through my fence. And it was very good that he did that. And I used in the years to come many times that escape place. But I have to tell you that the secret police followed me wherever I was. I did not know where to sleep. I was chased from the office. I was chased from the woodshed. Then I looked in the yard of the church, and there was a roof in the orchard where they put coal for the winter. So I slept for some nights on the ceiling, on the roof of that place. It was under a nut tree. I slept there. The roof was quite straight, so I was not afraid I would fall down. I looked up to the sky, and I looked up and told to the Lord, I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm so happy to be in the house of the Lord and to be a cleaning lady in the house of the Lord and to teach children about you. I'm so happy. And I told the Lord, I love you. Nothing can separate me from your love. I gave my life again and again to the Lord. And I loved God as a girl falls in love with a boy, as a woman falls in love with a husband, with a man. And that's how stronger than that. This is how I love God. And I was fully satisfied in His love. Because the first commandment in the Old Testament and in the New Testament is this: you should love your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength, with all your soul. That means with every drop in you. This is why we were created. And I felt this revelation. I felt that loving God was all that I needed to make me very happy and secure. But I was not allowed to sleep in this place, in that place. I was afraid to go home because the secret police was trying to arrest me everywhere. Then the Lord gave me a scripture in my heart, and that is from Psalm 84. Your altars, O God, even the bird finds a place to nest for the little chicks, find a place. And also the Lord gave me another scripture. Blessed are those, that means happy are those who sleep at night in the house of the Lord. So the Lord gave me this idea that I should sleep in the church, behind the pulpit and on a bench, but I should not allow anybody to know that I was sleeping there. And I started to sleep in the church, behind the pulpit and on benches. And February 1973, I think it was 13th of February, and this is the day I started to sleep in the house of the Lord. And I was so happy in the house of the Lord, but I did not know that I would stay there for 7 years. I did not know that I would write songs and I would receive Bibles. I did not know that the children's choir would become so famous and would have such power to teach the children in the whole country to praise the Lord.